it's me, Madison, the Sidereal Maven, your favorite astrologer and tarot reader, and today we are going to be doing a pick a card reading based on what your inner child needs to hear most in this moment, at whatever time you choose to click on this video. And we are going to have 3 piles here today. We have the pile 1 with the mini M&Ms. It says spread cheer. We have pile 2 with a Reese's peanut butter cup. And we have pile 3 with a couple of these Lindor milk chocolate truffles, okay? So if you're unaware of how a pick a card reading works, all you need to do is take a moment to pause, to meditate, and ask yourself which one of these piles is going to speak to you. You can just pick whichever one you feel drawn to. You can pick 2 decks. You can pick 3. It's your prerogative. Live your best life. But I do think it works best when you pick just one. But I'm not going to tell you what to do, okay? So while you're thinking about that, I will show you that we are going to be using the Kim Krans Archetype Oracle. We're also going to be using the Whispers of Love Oracle. I also have the Everyday Witch Oracle. And finally, I also have the Tarot of the Witch's Garden, which I use a lot on my Patreon, if you have probably noticed. If you guys aren't aware, on my Patreon page, I do a lot more tarot tutorials if you want to learn tarot. I have more astrology videos where I discuss the astrology of the new and full moons. And I post like 2 to 3 times a week. I have a weekly love letter that is free for all of my free members that comes out at least once a week. And then I also have additional videos that are exclusive to my paid Patreons. So if you watch this and you still want more content from me, please check out my Patreon. And with that, let us get started. All right, hello there, pile 1. You have picked the Spread Cheer Christmas Mini M&Ms. Let us put some things out for you. We've got the river. Let's see. We have romance, spiritual connection. Okay. We have earth magic and listening to wisdom. The lavas. Ooh. 2 of Swords and 10 of Swords. Okay. This is really interesting. This is spicy. I asked what your inner child needed, and you said, I'm a lover girl. I'm a lover girl, and I always have been, and I always will be. And I love that for you. I really do. Let us start with the Kim Krans Oracle. So the River card has this little horse in the reflection of the water. You may be watching this in 2026 when I'm filming it, and if you are, then we are currently in the year of the horse in Chinese astrology. And I am not a Chinese astrologer, so I can't tell you too much about it, but it might be something you want to look into. But the main gist of this card is all about your life path. I want you to kind of picture your life like a river and ask yourself, is it coursing swiftly? Is it going slow? Are you meandering by? Do you feel like there is something blocking the flow of your river. Is the water dirty? Is it clean? Can you see clearly? Do you feel uncertain? The river card is all about your ability to kind of move forward with confidence and ease and certainty without worrying about which path you end up on next. And so when this card comes up in a reading, it's really asking you to trust the path that you're on, even though you can't see around the next corner. And based on these other cards so far, it kind of seems like your river may feel a little stuck. You may feel like you are still ruminating on something that happened in the past. You've got a lot of romance cards, my friend. And so this is making me wonder if you are currently in a romantic relationship that reflects one you had when you were younger, perhaps as a teenager. Perhaps you had a high school sweetheart, a best friend that was almost your lover, or maybe was for a while. Perhaps it was a will they, won't they situation, is what it feels like to me. And I will offer this additional interpretation just in case it fits somebody, is that the Lovers is about more than just being with a lover. It can also be about choosing yourself. And sometimes the lover that you are looking at is your own self, your adult self and your childhood self. Or it can be you falling in love with a creative project, or just a version of you that really needs some love at this moment. But let's look at this. This Ten of Swords. This Ten of Swords is saying, my heart is broken. We have hit the end of the road. I thought this relationship was going to keep going, but instead it kind of ended sort of abruptly, or perhaps it just kind of like faded out. Sorry, my nails are not the best right now. It sort of faded out, like a long, slow, I don't want to say ghosting, but a sort of growing out of each other. Okay, and there's this feeling like I thought this was going to be my entire life, and instead it turned into just a part of it. And with the Two of Swords here at the center of your reading, this is about indecision. This is a stalemate. This is ruminating, overthinking, overanalyzing, really sitting within the wounds and dissecting them a bit, almost like a fixation. It's become like a fixation to pick at the scab. And because you are fixated on picking the scab, it is very difficult for you to move forward. And so I have to ask this question of, is this person still in your life? Because you have the Romance card. Lavish the one you love with personal attention and affection. And you also have the Spiritual Connection card. A relationship has a connection that goes beyond this lifetime. And so it seems to me that this person may still be in your life on some level. Perhaps they are not as prominent or consistent as they were before, but you can't quite let go of them. You can't quite move on. Maybe there is still a little bit of correspondence here and there, catching up now and then. Perhaps that is even sort of a cycle for you, where you are distant for a while and then you come back together, and then you're distant for a while and then you come back together. And it is leaving you wondering, like, is this for real? Or am I just getting myself locked in some sort of toxic cycle out of my inability to release something? And the thing about that is, if you really have been with this person like for such a long time, like since your teenage years, your first love, your high school sweetheart, there is this like history there. And the more history you have, the harder it is to kind of to move on, because it feels like, because the teenage years and like your young adult years, like the whole 18 to 25 range, your brain is like still developing. Your brain isn't fully developed until you're around 25 years of age, and that is when the frontal lobe, which is the top part of the brain that is capable of planning things long term and understanding consequences, and that if you make a decision now, it will affect you in your future, and that matters, okay? Your ability to cognitively do that is limited until that time. And so if you have a whirlwind romance, you know, at that young age, it does make a huge impact on your psyche and has the ability to kind of define how you see love and relationships just as much as, say, your parents' relationship does. And that is something that people talk about all the time, especially if you have like divorced parents or troubled parents, you know, where they talk about how like the way that your parents treated each other is your first experience of like what a grown romantic relationship is supposed to be. These like teenage, young adult, college relationships have the same ability to just impact your psyche in a super serious way, but because your frontal lobe isn't fully developed, you are kind of incapable of seeing for yourself whether or not this relationship can go the distance, go to your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. Is this a lifelong situation or not? And I hate to say it, but like, you really can't know until you get there. You really can't know. And that is upsetting because we want certainty. We want to know, this is my person forever, or is it just my person right now? And what I'm telling you is that you have to be in it. You have to be in it to know, but also like there are so many different factors that could lead to you making that decision. But something that has been true for me over time, what you get out of a relationship is often what you put into it. You know, if you want someone to be with you for 10, 20, 30 years, then you have to be willing to choose them every single day of your life. It's not just you choose them at age 20, expect that to last forever. You have to choose them every single day of your whole 20s, of your whole life. And it is a new decision every single day. And so that's what I mean by like, you kind of have to be in it to know, because sometimes people wake up and their needs change and their feelings change and who they are changes. And I doubt you are the same person that you were at the beginning of this. And the question is, will you grow together? Will you grow apart? Will you grow together and then apart and then together and then apart? That's kind of what it seems like is going on here. Especially with the spiritual connection card. This is kind of a card that shows up like when the connection to people is bigger than either one of them is capable of seeing in the moment. So you could have sort of past life connections. You could have some sort of soul bond with this person. And that isn't to say that, oh, this is your one soulmate and you'll never have one ever again, because personally, I don't believe that's true. I think everyone has lots of soulmates that come into your life at the right time and teach you something and then they leave. But when you have past life connections with people, it can feel like an instant click and be difficult to walk away, even temporarily, right? That being said, you also have the River card right next to it. So both of these together kind of make me think that like you were meant to meet this person in your life. You were meant to learn these lessons with them. And there is some sort of higher purpose to you guys being brought together at such a vulnerable time in your lives, because being a child is very vulnerable. And you also have this card of romance. Lavish the one you love with personal attention and affection. And so because that is also paired with the Two of Swords, this is making me think that like you and this person had some sort of falling out or some sort of distance put between you for whatever reason. And neither of you wants to be the one to pick up the phone. Neither of you wants to put down your pride and admit that you miss each other. And that is not going to get either of you what you want. Just saying. It's kind of like one of you has to be the first one to say something. And there is something here about boundaries, okay? Because if this person is, you know, back and forth, in and out, up and down, you gotta be like, I ain't no booty call. I'm not a holler back girl, okay? Like, you are special to me. I'm not here just for a short time. I'm here for a long time. I'm trying to be your lover. Well, then you need to be honest and upfront about that. And you also got to accept whatever they may say in response, right? So I think maybe a reason you're not wanting to confront or apologize or reach out is because whatever wound between you two, represented by this Ten of Swords, feels like too enormous, too big, too great. Like, if I reach out, am I just pouring salt in the wound? Am I just dragging things out? Am I just making it worse? Am I becoming the problem, so to speak? And I don't know, I think Ten of Swords is in the past position. Sorry, I knocked my camera. And the Lovers is in the future position. Like, I really do think there's hope for whatever this connection is. And if you were one of those people where you were in a new connection now and you have a new partner and you are reflecting on the past one and the way that relationship changed you, because again, I was saying that those young love situations can really impact your brain and define the way that you see relationships. And so if your previous young love ended like this, you may also be someone who is scared that like every relationship you have will go this way, and every person you are with will always leave for the same reasons or start the same fights or have the same conflicts. And if that is the case with you, I need you to understand that you are grown now. And the same way you don't have to base your understanding of relationships on your parents and their relationship because you are a new person in the world with different experiences, the same goes for that young love situation. You are allowed to let that go, to have a fresh start, a fresh slate, to look at love in a new way. And if you are someone who like is trying to let go of that past, then the way to do it is to focus on what is current and in front of you. Because you still have the spiritual connection card. Perhaps this person is meant to teach you how to move forward and how to move on. And that love can be different and beautiful and fresh and new all over again, right? So whichever situation you are in, the answer is to reach out. Stop ruminating and speak up on how you are feeling. Choose yourself. So this is something I'm going to offer you with the Lovers, okay? When I say choose yourself, what you need to ask is, what will I regret more? Never apologizing, never speaking my truth, never trying again, never telling them how I feel? Or am I going to regret trying those things and being rejected? Like, what's worse, being rejected or never knowing? Because I think you can handle rejection, but the not knowing is already eating you alive inside. And that's just not necessary. That is unnecessary pain that you do not have to cause yourself. All right, so We also have Earth Magic. And Earth Magic is all about grounding yourself. This is saying take some time outside, go on a walk, spend some time in nature. If you like gardening, try some gardening. If you have a dog, maybe go play outside with your dog. You could go swimming. It's summertime. Find something outside that you can do that is not on your phone, okay? And just allow yourself to just be. Remind yourself that you are a human being on Earth, which is a planet in space in a whole solar system. And you are just one tiny little guy in the big grand scheme of things. And in that big grand scheme of 10 million bajillion people and plants and animals all living and growing at once, you have managed to find someone that you really connect with. Someone who gets you. Someone who sees you when it's difficult to see yourself. Someone who loves you even when you don't like yourself sometimes. Someone who sees every version of you and falls in love all over again. That is what is important in life. That is what true love is someone who accepts you and receives you even when you have nothing to offer. Even when you're feeling broken. And I think if you spend some time connecting with nature and the enormity of the world, it will click in your mind again just how special it is to have found someone like this in the first place. And that will help you kind of make a decision about how you want to move forward with this. Okay? And we also have the Listening to Wisdom card. And this is kind of similar to the Earth Magic card. It's very much saying, like, you need to listen to your own inner wisdom and to pay attention to different synchronicities around you, okay? And so by synchronicities, for some people, this is like repeating numbers or repeating symbols. For me personally, the Sidereal Maven, I really like different animal symbolism, which is why so many of the decks I buy are animal focused. If you have like a special animal or a special song or something that reminds you of this person, maybe a TV show or a certain saying, and as you are going out and about in your life, if you are just repeatedly hit in the face with these super loud reminders, I think that's a sign that you should say something. And even if you don't feel like the relationship could move forward as it is, you're ready to move on, but you just can't get this out of your mind. Like, even just a conversation for closure, to understand why things went the way they did, so that you can put it to bed and stop ruminating over it. I mean, Mercury is retrograde at the moment. It's almost like permission to be like, hey, just wanted to let you know I'm sorry about that thing that happened 3 years ago. And then seeing where it goes. And I don't know, as a tarot reader, I feel like I don't usually encourage people to take big steps and actions in relationships. You gotta make your own decisions. But this seems really positive. It seems really great. It seems like you want to stitch this wound up and you can't do it by yourself. So let me get something else. I have this oracle deck. It's also an animal deck. I unfortunately could not tell you what the name of this deck is. It did not come with a box. It came in a little drawstring bag that has been disintegrated. But if you search animal oracle decks on Etsy, you might be able to find it, because that's where I found it. And let's see. You have the Bat, Rebirth, Expansion, Clarity. The familiar narrative has run its course. Recognition of old patterns is the beginning of creating healthy new behaviors and positive interpersonal dynamics. There is space for a new story to be born, woven with threads of freedom and expansiveness. See, this is what I was saying. Like, if you are trying to go back to this relationship, there is room for a rebirth. And if you are simply reflecting on a past relationship, like, you are ready to let those patterns go and to be present with the person in front of you and to write a new story about what love is and can be for yourself. And the card on the bottom of the deck is Lighten Your Load. Cleanse, clear, simplify. This time calls for a deep cleaning and clearing of both physical and emotional spaces. Acknowledge what is another's clutter to clear for themselves, taking extra care not to do the work for them. Focus on tidying up your own lily pad, out with the old and in with the new. All right, yeah. I feel like that is really saying that, like, maybe part of the reason you have stepped away from this person or situationship is that perhaps you feel guilty in some way. Maybe you feel like you caused this wound. You were the one to walk away, to say no. And it has made you feel like the bad guy ever since. But if you are choosing yourself, you are not the bad guy. So here's something I'll offer you, is that if this is some childhood love and you've walked away and you were feeling guilty about that, I made promises to be by your side throughout life forever. And for whatever reason you can't, even if it is just temporary, you go away to college and they don't, something like that. You have to move across the country, they stay home, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the situation is, like, you're not responsible for the way that they feel about it. You don't have to feel guilty about choosing yourself and choosing to move on and choosing to grow up. And if this person really does care for you, like, they will care for you in every era of your life, whether you can be together or not. Yeah, I think that's what I got. It's time to set a new path, and don't try to feel their feelings for them. Don't try to fix this for them. You can really only fix it for yourself. So that is what I got. That is what your inner child needs to hear, is that you really can't base your current relationship issues based on relationships you had in the past, especially as a teenager, and relationships that you witnessed other people have during that period of time as well, specifically parental relationships, but it could even be other people in your family or family friends. Like, you kind of absorb all of that growing up, and the gist of this reading is really just saying that, like, you can rewrite the narrative of what romantic relationships are to you. You deserve a spiritual connection. You deserve someone who wants to romance you. And you can't feel their feelings for them. And by focusing on yourself and focusing on your own life path and where you are going instead of where you came from, you will attract the partner that you need today, in this moment, as you are right now. And it could be this person from the past, but it could be someone new. It could be someone else. So yeah, it's a brand new day. And that's what I got for you, pile one. I will see you later. You have picked the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Peanut butter chocolate flavor. Oops. Okay. We've got the Creator. Beautiful. We've got Be Willing to Express Love to Receive Love. We have Demonstrate Love. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. These cards are already pretty bossy. Okay, we have affirmation for healing of the heart. And we have meditation to dig deep. Let us see. We have 4 of Swords, Strength, 5 of Wands. You are tired. You are so fucking tired. I have to ask, at what point did you decide that creative burnout was the price you were willing to pay for love and affection? At what point did you decide that achievement was the only way you could be seen and loved by other people? Because it ain't true. So let's start with the creator, okay? This is very, very upfront. You're a very creative person. Even if you are not so artsy-fartsy, so to speak, you are an incredibly ambitious person who is very cerebral. You're very in your mind. You are always thinking about your next step. What am I going to do next? What am I going to make next? And you may be someone who is in a leadership position at work, or you may be an entrepreneur, or you may be one of those creative types that just works a bunch of side gigs so that you can focus on your main projects. But whatever it is you got going on, you've got like 10 plates spinning all at once. You have so much you're trying to do, so much you're trying to accomplish, and you've got big dreams and big visions, and you will not be satisfied with your life until you have done something that quite frankly makes you feel worthy of being loved by other people. And so I do have to ask, like, maybe you're someone who grows up in a really competitive family, a family that expects you to succeed, either financially or socially. Like, there is a measurement of your success. You are constantly trying to reach that measurement, but you did not set that measurement for yourself. Like, someone else did. Someone else told you that unless you were capable of performing, and not just performing, but winning first place at that performance, then you don't deserve affection and love and attention. And it makes you feel like you must work constantly, because the second you are still, you will be punished or abandoned or rejected in some sort of way. And that is an unhealthy mindset to have, for sure, for certain. And the thing about this is, like, I don't know, I'm hearing the words like child star, prodigy, like wonder kid. There is some level of that. Even if it is not so direct, there is this like way that you have huge expectations on your shoulders from a very young age to grow into something magnificent, and it is weighing heavily on you. It's very heavy. And whether you are successful or not, the rate at which you are trying to decide if this card is going to be censored or not, because you can kind of, you know, let's hope not, okay? It's not like I'm monetized. But this, what was I saying? Yes, okay. This mindset, this toxic mindset of work has exhausted you, and you need a nap, like, desperately. Like, you've reached a point where you're like, I can't even focus on anything at all, ever, because you were so freaking tired. You may have turned into a homebody of sorts. You are someone who is not wanting to go out, not wanting to have fun, not wanting to participate in the extracurriculars, the hobbies. And you may even be someone who is like monetized all of your hobbies to the point to where like they're not fun for you anymore. Because every time you do it, you think about how much money could this make me? Who would buy this? Who would invest in this? And it has like sapped your creative juices, because creativity isn't born from this place of what can I get out of this? Instead, it's from this place of what could I give? What could I give to the world? But when you are expecting to receive something, that changes the way you give, doesn't it? If I'm only going to receive this much, then I should only give this much. And that's not a good place to create from, because your best work is when you give it your all and expect to receive nothing. And then everything you receive after the fact is like the gift. But you're in this very transactional mindset right now with your creativity that it is like pushed you to not want to be creative. Your fun stuff isn't fun anymore. Okay, so we also have the Strength card. The Strength card is all about having courage to face your fears, to do the big thing, to take the next step, to invest in yourself, to take a chance on yourself, to believe in your entrepreneurial ideas. And because it is here in the center, there is this way that like this is your main issue, is that you kind of want to take these next steps, to move forward, to feel appreciated for the efforts that you put in. You want to feel seen by other people. It's almost like say you're like a stage performer and you're on stage and you're like practicing when the theater is empty over and over and over and over and over again, with the expectation that eventually someone will come in and sit down and watch. But you were like too afraid to send out the invitations, too afraid to send out the flyers, because what if it's not perfect yet? What if they don't like it? What if you don't sell out? What if your measurement of success is based on how many tickets you sell? And so you're afraid to even sell the tickets because you're like, what if I don't sell enough? Then I'm a failure. Even if you sold 100 tickets, if you didn't sell out, then you're angry at yourself. And that is creating quite the internal conflict, but maybe also some external conflict, especially if you have creative partners, co-workers, employees, something or other people who are depending on you, who are counting on you to sell the tickets. They're like, why aren't you done yet? Why do you keep starting over? Why do you keep finding a million ways to distract yourself? Why do you keep insisting that you're not ready? And these other birds could also like indicate like other people's opinions. It may feel like there are too many people offering you their opinion about what the set should look like and what your costume should look like and exactly what time to open the curtains and how to design the flyers. And you really are losing creative control. The creative control that like makes you feel confident in the first place. To which I have to say, you gotta assert yourself. If it's your show, then assert yourself. And if it's not, and it is a group thing, then like compromising takes courage too. I hate to say it. It is very difficult to compromise our creativity and our ideas and our opinions when we are the creator, and so much is like riding on the outcome in your mind. It is very hard to let other people have a say. But if you're in a situation where you have to let them have a say, like, that takes courage too. And so let's start over here with this oracle card. We have affirmation for healing the heart. I don't know. The glare on this is a little annoying, but you can see this happy family is not so happy. they are grieving something. But if this is you, and you are crying, and you are grieving, you have everyone. You have your whole family here for you, supporting you, on your side. You have like a warm, supportive home. And whenever we pull an affirmation specific card for this deck, it is basically saying that you are already well on your way to getting over this and moving forward. But part of that process is the grief, is letting go of like past disappointments. And so there may have been times in your past where you were putting on a show, so to speak, and no one showed up. Or they did show up, but they weren't happy with your performance. There is a really big need for like external validation and love and acceptance here. And for whatever reason in the past, like, you didn't quite get it. It didn't quite meet your own expectations. And you were in the process of learning to accept that, like, not everyone is gonna love your shows specifically. It's kind of like stand-up comics, okay? There's like a bajillion stand-up comics on Netflix, and every single one of them is covering different topics, has a different sense of humor. And you may watch one comedian and be like, that is the funniest person in the world. And then you watch another comedian and you're like, no, I hate them. Their jokes are unfunny. They're politically strange and uncomfortable, you know? Like, as a creator, no matter what you're creating, whether it's comedy or not, like, you have to accept that, like, you can't earn everyone's love and affection every time. You can really only capture that one audience who is meant for you. And you have to accept that there are sometimes people you love and admire and respect that are not your audience, no matter how much you may want them to be. And it's okay to cry about that, okay? We've all cried about that. I've cried about that too. But you can't let it stop you from putting on the next show. You can't just be like, I'm gonna lay down for the next 10 years and never put on a show again. That's not who you are. You're the creator. That is what you are here for. And so you have the meditation to dig deep, okay? And this card is all about revisiting old feelings, old situations, scenarios, or memories that have brought you to this place, to this feeling of, I must succeed at all costs. I must have external validation or I am not safe. I must have approval or I am not safe. I must succeed or I will not be safe. Like, ask yourself why. Why? And is that still true? Like, are you gonna have a roof over your head and food in your pantry tomorrow if you fail at this? And if the answer is yes, then you are okay. You are okay. And ain't nothing bad gonna happen to you because you failed to impress somebody. And the only person you really need to the only person you need to impress is yourself. Like, are you impressed with your own performance? And this is kind of silly, but I'm a YouTuber. You're watching my YouTube video right now. There is a way that every time I film a video, I go back and I rewatch the video on my own TV and I judge the hell out of myself, okay? And I ask myself, if this was someone else's video, how would I feel about it? How do I feel about the lighting, about the captions, about my face, the way that I say things, the way that I explain things? And I started doing this on my very first videos because I was so scared that I was going to mess something up and I wouldn't be able to catch it until it was already out in the world, which happens as creatives, you know? You get so excited, you put it out there, and then you're like, crap, I misspelled a word. But what I realized doing that is that I did impress myself. I did say, you know what? A year ago, I couldn't make a single video because I was scared. I was too scared of being judged. I was scared of being a terrible video editor, a terrible explainer of things. And now I watch back my videos and I realize that every single time I did it, I got better. And I look back now and I'm like, you know what? I have impressed myself because I couldn't do this a year ago, even when no one was watching. And I don't know, perhaps you can relate to that in some way. But this card is definitely saying, like, try to think back to those situations that made you feel like you had to impress somebody in the first place. And ask yourself, do you still need that person's approval? And if that person's approval does not affect your shelter, your food, your water, then you don't need it. And it is extra. It is fluff. It is the cherry on top of a sundae you didn't even order. Okay? So, let us move to this side, where you have two very similar cards. You have be willing to express love, to receive love. And this card shows up when people are feeling a little defensive, self-isolationist, when you are feeling hurt and misunderstood and overwhelmed or overstimulated and burnt out. The tendency is to retreat and to close yourself off. Maybe you've been staying at home a lot lately and not going out with your friends. Maybe you are not online as much as you used to be, and perhaps the internet plays a big role in your creative endeavors, and so it affects you negatively to take breaks. And you may also just like be so focused on work, on your creative work, that you are neglecting your relationships. And then when you go to put on your show, you're like, why did no one show up to my show? Well, it's because you haven't spoken to them in 6 weeks or 6 months, because you've spent the entire time at your easel painting the same spot over and over and over again, hoping that that will be the thing that allows you to finally make it in the world. But let me tell you a secret, and that secret is that all of that creative success, the thing that you make, the thing that you are trying to achieve in this world, when you complete it and you finish it, even if you are so proud of yourself, it almost doesn't matter if you don't have anyone to share it with. And that is the thing that is keeping you caught up, right? Is that you want the community that comes with sharing your creative stuff. But if you are not taking the time to nourish your relationships, then no one's going to show up. And at the same time, you will be sitting there asking, they're like, why don't no one love me? Why is no one here for me? And it's like, are you showing up for them? Are you checking in with them and asking how their day went? How things are going? If you want love, then you have to be willing to express love. And I know it is scary and embarrassing to be the first person to reach out, especially if it has been some time, or if there has been some conflict, or if you've just been so self-involved that you have let things fade out. But you need to trust that the people who love you will just be excited that you reached out in the first place, okay? And I found this to be true over and over again, okay? If you want affection, then you have to show affection. Especially if you go a long time without showing any affection, how do you think that makes the other person feel that you haven't reached out? You haven't told them you love them. You haven't checked in. They're probably sitting there thinking that you don't like them anymore. So show them that you do. Which brings me to the next one. Demonstrate love. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. Like, getting both of these at the same time, like, that's crazy. It's really saying that you got to be the one to reach out. You got to be the one that says, hey, I saw your favorite candy at the store and I picked some up for you. Or I got your favorite drink. Or, hey, do you want to come to dinner sometime? Think about whoever is popping into your mind at this time. Like, think about what they specifically like, would they specifically enjoy, and try to engage in that with them in some way. Find a way to connect on what they love and try to be there for them, show up for them. Perhaps they have a show they want you to go to. Perhaps they love dinner parties and they want you to come to one. Maybe they just really want to go on a bike ride with another person instead of being alone, and they miss your bike rides. So that's about what I got for you, pile 2. I hope you liked it. I hope you loved it. And if you did, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe. And please be sure to check out my Patreon, where I post a sidereal astrology and tarot content 2 to 3 times a week. And with that, I will see you later. Hello there, pile 3. You selected these wonderful Lindor chocolate truffles, so congrats to you for having taste. Okay, let us set out our cards. I'll do it like this. You have the womb. The womb. Okay. We have ask for help. We have focus on love. Can you see everything? Meditation for creativity. Speak your mind. You have the devil. This is bad bitch energy. Okay. Queen of Wands. Judgment. You know what? You are angry. You are angry. And if I had to guess, it would be at a parental figure, perhaps a boss, a mentor, a mother. You are mad. You are mad at your parents. Okay, let's start with this one. So we have the womb. The womb. I love-hate this card because the colors are gorgeous, but it is also very, well, you know. I won't say it, you can think it. So the womb card is about the process of a child being conceived and gestated and born, and the space with which that happens in. And so it's very fitting that you also have this creativity card, because whether or not you are a parent or not, the womb is a creative space from which creative things are born. Think about like how the 5th house in astrology is both creativity, like art, painting, dancing, singing, music, anything that you create, but it is also sex and children and birth. Like, these things are intrinsically tied together. And so when you pull the womb card, something that is on the table for you is what you are trying to create, what you are trying to give birth to, what you are parenting and nurturing. And so that, of course, brings into question, how were you nurtured? How were you parented? And what is the biological connection between you and the person who gave birth to you? What do you inherit from them? Both genetically, physically, and also like emotionally. What are you emotionally inheriting? What patterns and beliefs and mindsets have you inherited from your parents? And how is it affecting your ability to be creative now, to give birth to new projects or relationships or people or whatever it is that is on your mind? Okay. And so I very specifically at the beginning of the year remember pulling this card for Sidereal Aries in my 2026 horoscopes. If you are on my Patreon, you could find it by scrolling back. It is a written horoscope, it's not a video. But in that specific horoscope for Aries, I talked about how this was a year that Aries would learn that they could be loved even without reciprocation or without having to earn it, okay? And that is really important here in this reading as well, because I think you are someone who has been taught that you have to earn love. You have to earn help. You have to prove that you can't do it by yourself. You have to feel completely defeated and destroyed and let down before you allow yourself to receive help or advice or assistance. And if you reach out before then you are wasting people's time. You are upsetting them in some sort of way. It brings on a lot of shame and guilt to need something, which is why I have said perhaps you were angry at your parents. Maybe more specifically, a mother, a birth giver, could be an older sister, a grandmother, an adoptive parent, you know, an aunt, a teacher, someone who has taken on this role of caring for you and nurturing you and protecting you, and they did not succeed in the way that you needed, and it has created a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, both at this person and maybe at the circumstances it has created in your life. And maybe you're even like angry at yourself for not having better, or for not having known better, for not having done something better or figured out some sort of magical workaround or whatever it is you perceive would have helped you or changed the situation. And so we got to talk about this guy. Okay? The devil. As you can see, there's this couple that is like chained together and being held in this confusing ritual. And their cup has spilled over. The fire is burning. It's gonna catch their clothes. But they're like so focused on each other that they don't even realize that this like mastermind is running everything. Your childhood may have felt like this in a way. Perhaps you were one of these, and this is your sibling or something. And then you have a parent who is very dominating and controlling and demanding, and offers no help. It's like they want you to achieve all of the things in the world, but they don't want to give you the resources to do it. They don't want to give you help. They don't want to give you advice. Like, you're left feeling like, I must achieve this, but I don't have what I need, and I don't deserve what I need, and I don't deserve success. Like, this whole toxic mindset is really blocking you creatively. Like, I don't know what it is you're trying to create or achieve or accomplish. Perhaps you were just trying to raise your own kid. Perhaps you were trying to start a business, to start a life for yourself. Whatever it is you're trying to create and manage is not going the way you want, because you are still stuck in this mindset of like toxic productivity, toxic success, and like this like scarcity mindset of not feeling like you are enough or have enough or can do enough, if that makes sense. And the Queen of Wands, like, she's frustrated. She's frustrated, okay? So the Queen of Wands may represent you and your desire to produce things creatively, to be the workout boss, to be on top of your schedule, to have all of the activities and all of the things you're trying to do. And it could also be that parental figure at the same time that is kind of like maybe a little snippy, a little aggressive in her approach. She may be a little bit forceful. She knows what she wants and she expects it to happen. You also have the Judgment card. And quite frankly, not only are you judging your caregiver or your parent for the way that they are and the way that things have been, but you're also like judging yourself for inheriting things from them that you wish you hadn't. It's kind of like you ever like look in the mirror and you like see something about yourself that like reminds you of your parents, and you're like, ew, gross. No, I don't want to be them. I just want to be me. But you can't deny that like half your genetics come from that person, and so it just upsets you. It just upsets you when you say things the way they used to say it, or do things that they used to do, and you catch yourself in the middle of it, and it like enrages you, and it turns into like self-hatred almost. Like, this is an intense energy. I'm so sorry. It's intense. There's a lot of like anger about the way that you grew up and the way that it is like affecting your mindset. You're mad to have inherited certain things and to continue certain cycles that you swore you would never continue. And yet you find yourself in the middle of it and are like, how did I get here? And then you point the finger and you're like, it's all your fault. You made me this way. Blah. You know, like there's this tension. And whatever the situation is, like you're taking it out on yourself in a bad way that is unnecessary. You are causing yourself some unnecessary pain here by endlessly comparing yourself to this person, endlessly perceiving yourself in your life through their perspective and their mindset. And by holding yourself to these creative, financial, professional expectations without ever asking yourself, like, is that really what I want from myself and out of my own life? Or is that just kind of what they wanted? And another perspective I will offer here is that you may feel like creatively blocked, like writer's block, creative block, like there's some sort of mental or emotional mountain in the way of you making what you need to make. And it is your resentment and your mindset and this feeling of, will I ever escape the womb? Will I be tainted by this thing I've experienced for my entire life? Will I ever outgrow it? Will I ever feel like my own person? And like the thing is that I don't know how old you are. I will say that if you are into astrology, you've probably heard of this thing called the Saturn return, which happens around the age of like 27 to 32, depending on your specific chart, okay? But during that time is when you are really pushed to make decisions about the kind of adult you want to be. And up until that point, like all throughout your teens and your early 20s, you are given this freedom to play around, to make mistakes, to try things you haven't tried before, to be like, what if I was good at this? What if I was good at that? Let's try this job. Let's try that job. And it's kind of a free space, right? To experiment. But of course, not everyone gets to experiment if they have a super controlling parent. But once you hit that Saturn return, somewhere around the age of 30, you have to stop and pause and look back at the last decade and ask yourself, did I make those decisions for me? Or did I make them for someone else? Am I happy with the decisions I've made? Do I want to continue making these decisions? Or do I need a reroute, a recalibration, a new direction, a new decision? And I also think this is just like the time where you have to be like, this is the person I want to be. And you have to like set clear, firm boundaries about that. And sometimes that means making a firm decision with yourself to let some shit go. To let it go. Not because it's okay. Not because it doesn't matter anymore. And not because you are fully healed and totally better now and will never think about it ever again. But because you got to choose yourself. Like, if holding on to this anger is ruining your day on a regular basis, you're not even talking to this person, you're just thinking about them and it's pissing you off, you got to let that go for yourself. You got to decide, I don't have the energy to be angry about this anymore, and move on. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying you have to choose it. You have to be like, I'm ready to move on. And then every time it comes up in your mind and you feel yourself start to like spiral about it again, you have to make an active decision to refocus on something else and stop thinking about it. And that thing is probably your art, your creativity, the thing that you are working towards, right? And that process may include, for some of you, telling people what you really think. Speaking your mind, okay? If this parent is still in your life, maybe it would be worth it to be like, hey, you make me feel this way, and I don't like it. You say this thing, and I don't like it. Find a way to be honest. And I know this can be difficult because parents have their own perceptions of reality that often don't match their children's. And this is an inner child reading, and so your inner child has its own perception. And sometimes parents view us as our childhood selves instead of our adult selves. And we kind of have to remind them, using our words, that we are grown now. We are not the same person we were 20, 30 years ago, or however long it was for you. Like, there is a new person in front of you now, and I need you to see that and recognize that. And that may require you to speak up. Make it clear that, like, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't do that anymore. I don't like that thing anymore. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm focused on, right? And I will say that, like, if this parental figure isn't in your life anymore, and you are someone who is realizing that this situation with a past parent is like affecting a current relationship, maybe a current boss or authority figure or someone who just reminds you of them, it's very important that you speak up and be like, hey, what you're saying and doing is triggering me, and it's putting me back in this space, and I need you to treat me differently. I need you to phrase it differently. I need you to give me something different that doesn't put me here. And another part about this meditation for creativity card that I want to bring up is that in order to get over a creative block with whatever project you are trying to achieve, you need to take a break from it. Stop trying to force yourself to have the answer right now. A lot of the time, when you are experiencing a creative block, it's because you're trying to force it, and you are tired, and you are hungry, and you need a nap. You need a vacation. You need to spend some time with your friends. Maybe you need to exercise. If you are someone that has like ADHD specifically, and you keep feeling creatively blocked, like you wake up in the morning and you sit down at your desk ready to go and you just keep getting distracted, you need to exercise. And I'm so serious. Like, you can manage ADHD just a little bit better. Ask me how I know. if you exercise before you sit down to do the creative work, because a lot of the time is your body is primed for movement. Okay, you're a human being, and human beings are supposed to be walking around everywhere, from place to place. They're supposed to be doing things all day. And if you just wake up, have some coffee, and sit at your computer and expect that to prime you up for success, it's not going to help. You need to exercise first. Go on a walk, lift some weights, buy a hula hoop, do something fun. But get your body moving, and that is what is going to kickstart these creative juices. And also for some people, like shower thoughts, if you take a shower, like a really long hot shower, like that can help you get your creative ideas flowing. Okay. And so you also have ask for help. What do you really need? Be willing to accept support. And I really like this card because it reminds me of The Little Mermaid. It's very cute, very pretty. But when you are in this space of feeling very triggered, okay, upset, angry, frustrated, misunderstood, alone, pause for a minute and ask yourself, what do you really need? Do you need someone to listen to you? Do you need someone to take out the trash? Do you need someone to change the laundry from the washer to the dryer? Do you need someone to pick you up a snack at your favorite place? Like, be upfront about what would actually help you in this moment, and then ask for it. There is something that you need underneath the anger, underneath the frustration, and the overstimulation of whatever is happening around you that is making you feel stressed. Like, if you need like 4 hours of complete silence to get your stuff done, you gotta say that. You gotta create the conditions, okay? And when this card comes up, it's saying like people may be willing to offer you help that you don't think that they will. So take a chance and just ask. You also have focus on love. Look for the good in everyone. And I think this really connects back to that concept of all of this nonsense that has happened to me in the past and the way I've been treated in the past is making me see the worst in everyone. It's like you fear that everyone will betray you, that they will turn on you when you need them most, that they don't want to help you. They secretly don't like you. They are selfishly focused on themselves. And you gotta stop assuming that everyone has a bad intention, that people are out to get you, that they secretly don't like you, because it's not true. Like, whatever the situation with all of this is, I want you to step back and consider, like, what if everyone in this situation had a good intention? I'm not saying they're good at communicating it. I'm not saying they're good at executing it. But take a moment to consider, like, what if they did? What if everyone in the room was genuinely trying their best with the information that they have, with the tools that they have? And if that is the case, and they still fail, or, disappoint you, it makes it a lot easier to forgive them, to accept that, like, some people just have different perceptions of what is needed or wanted or desired or acceptable in that moment. And it's not an attack on you or on anyone, really. So overall, pile 3, Lindor Truffle Girl, my message for you is that you need to let people help you without you feeling like you need to earn it. You don't need to earn help and love and attention and affection. And who and where you came from is always going to influence you, but it doesn't have to define you. You don't have to constantly judge yourself based on your past and based on who you're related to and who has guided you and mentored you. Like, your own judgment of yourself is so critical that you can't even see yourself clearly. And I think if you just like took a step back and took some time to like really focus on like what need was not met in my childhood that I'm still trying to meet now, and meet that need for yourself. And I really do have a feeling it's just unconditional love. Give yourself that unconditional love. Treat yourself. Give yourself the affection and the validation that you need. Be kind to yourself and ask for help. Be kind to yourself and allow other people to support you. Be kind to yourself and prioritize your creative projects. Be kind to yourself and speak your mind. Be honest. These are all ways that you can care for yourself and love yourself without having to spend any money or go on an elaborate vacation, or whatever it is capitalism teaches us is self-care. True self-care is just acknowledging that you're a human being, trying your mother effing best, and giving yourself love, affection, attention, care, kindness, rest. You don't have to earn it, okay? You would never ever go up to a baby and tell them that they have to earn rest, or that they have to earn affection, or that they have to earn help. So why are you doing that to yourself? Just stop, okay? And that is all I got for you, pile 3. I hope you liked it. I hope you loved it. Give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe, and make sure to check out my Patreon. I post 2 to 3 times a week for my free members, for my paid members. Got something for everyone. So with that, I am signing off, and I shall see you next time. Bye!